Welcome back to the channel, and I just wanted to start the video by saying thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all the feedback you guys have given me, all the encouragement, and even the ideas for some content. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. So I thought in this video, it'd be a great opportunity for me to learn how to use this new camera setup. And I wanted something a bit more simple to start off with. So I've actually put this project off for some time. We're going to be installing a brand new joying head unit into my Honda Civic. So yeah, if you guys haven't followed the previous videos, make sure you go back to the joying giveaway, because I did a review on that joying unit, which is very similar to what we're installing, and the giveaway is ending very shortly. For those who have entered, all the best and good luck. We're going to be drawing that on the 18th of September, so stay tuned for that video. And yeah, let's jump into the car, and I just wanted to show you guys what I've been dealing with for the past couple of months. All right. So this car is really stock, and so is this head unit. You know, still got the cassette, I was gonna say CD player, but doesn't even have a CD player. I've just been using it for radio, and it really needs to go because, you know, next month I'm heading down to Winton Raceway. We're gonna be doing, I think it's about a 7 or 8 hour drive down there. I'm gonna race 2 days at Winton, and then I'm gonna drive straight back. So I really need something a little bit more, you know, fun, because it's going to be a really long drive. So I thought, you know, this is a really good time to do this upgrade and get some functionality in this car. One of the reasons why I really want to do this before Winton is because you can actually run Race Chrono on the big screen, and I actually really use the Race Chrono app to help me improve my driving, to work out which sectors I'm slower at, and it gives you a lot of data on where to go faster. So yeah, this is the stock unit. And we're going to pull this out and install this new joying unit. So this is the joying 9-inch, and I wanted to include this in the video, but I actually went ahead and installed it already. All 4 speakers on the car were blown, and I had absolutely no audio. So I went to Super Cheap Auto and got myself a set of 3-way speakers, and they've been great. So yeah, let's look at the joying unit. All right, so the joying unit. Now this is a 9-inch display. And I'm going to show you guys how we're going to fit it in the car. But let's have a look at everything we get first. So you get the LCD screen, you get the wiring stuff, and the unit. So you get the unit at the back, and you get this really nice LCD screen. Okay. Wow, beautiful. So I got this display. This is the 9-inch display with the knob, and yeah, got the knob because, you know, I don't have steering wheel controls, and I just think in a car like this, it's a lot better to have dedicated buttons. So yeah, so you're gonna ask me, how the hell are you gonna fit that in a Honda Civic? Well, I'm gonna show you. Now, if you're a purist, now is probably the time to block your ears, close your eyes, because we're going to be running a 9-inch fascia from Aliexpress. I got this for $55, and I'm really excited about how this is going to look. Now, please understand that I am not trying to build another EK9 themed Civic. You know, I have respect for those parts, but this is not what this build is going to be about. And I know this is going to be a huge upgrade. At the same time, EK9 parts are ridiculously expensive now. So good on you if you're running them, but it is not for me. All right, so with the joying unit, it also comes with a bunch of wiring accessories. So let's get this out. Let's clean up. So what you get is this ISO harness, which goes to a universal ISO plug. And just like I did with the 79, I'm also going to be running an ISO harness for the Civic. So this will go to the factory connector. So this plug goes to the factory connector on the back of the head unit. And then this should adapt straight into my joying harness and into the back of the brains of the unit. Just going to show you what else comes with the kit. So I've got 2 4G antennas, which I'm not going to be using because I'm not going to run a SIM card on this unit. And I will be running the GPS. Now this external GPS we mount on the dash because it gives you a really good accurate GPS reading for race chrono to work properly. So this is going to be important. We're going to need this. Also going to be using the microphone which comes with the head unit. This will help me with voice control and also answering calls if I decide to link my phone up to the head unit. So yeah, once again, with this unit, you also get wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which I don't really use in a unit like this because, if you're going to spend that much money on a good quality head unit, you don't really need your phone to be doing all the hard work. Okay, so if you haven't noticed, this is quite a big display. So you're going to have to relocate the climate control. And what I'm going to do is relocate the climate control. Oh, I need to fix that door. Down here, because I have seen a few other people do the same kind of conversion. So this panel will be relocated down to the lower part of the dash. And this is going to be a really good and easy swap because if you guys don't know, the EK9 unit, you're going to change your center vent for it to be blowing air through these top channels. By just relocating this component, I shouldn't have to do anything with the AC system. It should be pretty much plug and play. And yeah, I haven't done this before, so hopefully it is straightforward, but I guess we'll wait and see. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is remove the stock fascia and the head unit. All right, so as I was pulling this fascia off, I discovered something was holding it back, and it was actually this blue cable. This goes from the climate control to the heater box, just over there. So what we're going to do is actually disconnect it from the heater box end, and then so just pull it out like that, and then pull this blue cable, pop it off the clip. So that's what it looks like there. Yeah. To that a bit, pull it out, there we go. Cool, so this should come straight up. There we go, just the clock to undo. And that's it. How easy are these cars to work on? All right, just for reference, for myself and for you guys, I'm gonna let you guys know what the plugs do. So this plug here on the left, this is the demister. Right, we're still reusing this, and this is the hazard light, that one. This one goes to the clock, which we won't be using anymore. This one will go to the climate control. This one also goes to the climate control. This one goes to the head unit, so we're going to plug our ISO harness into that. And this is just the antenna, which will go straight to the drawing unit. So yep, really straightforward. So what we're going to relocate is the climate control, which used to sit here, into that position. So I'm going to take this bottom, I don't even know what this is called, cup holder, tray. I'm going to take it out, and then we're going to go fit the climate control onto it. Alright, so it probably makes a bit more sense here, but what we need to do is relocate this climate control here into this location, so above the tray. So what I'm going to do now, first of all, is to unscrew the climate control from the fascia. Oops, that's the climate control I need, and that fascia goes in the bin. Alright. Okay, so I've actually spent some time off camera just finding a spot for this climate control. And what it appears like is that this climate control will actually bolt up to two of these holes. Without any issue, it does sit there very nicely and it's firm. But the problem is it sits a little bit lower than where I want it to go, and I also want to keep the existing tray. So what I'm actually going to do is head back to the bench, I'm going to bolt this tray back onto this storage unit, and then what I want to reuse is this bracket. I'll be cutting this whole storage part off, and hopefully we'll be able to bolt the climate control through the holes and be able to keep this tray. All right, legends, managed to get it sorted, a bit of back and forth between the car and the bench here, modifying the climate control and the tray to make it fit, and I'll show you guys how I did it. So this climate control, this bolts onto the dash support, so the metal frame which this old tray used to bolt to. And what I've done is I've notched this here. I just cut 2 holes, 1 on each side, and this is how we're mounting it. So just 2 screws is enough to hold this in place, and it's really secure because this tray actually goes on top and then clamps it down. So yeah, what I've also done to make it sit nice and flush, you have to cut this webbing on the sides of these brackets, and you just have to trim it on both sides there. Getting it focused there. You have to trim it on both sides, and then just shave off a bit of the plastic. Yes, it's a bit ghetto, but it works and it fits really nicely. So with the tray, we aren't using the metal brackets which go into that dash support frame. We're actually removing them, and then you also have to cut the sides here and cut that whole section out here. This is so that this climate control is going to sit nicely in there like this. So yeah, pretty basic. It's just a little fiddly. So let's get it in the car. Alright, so the first thing I did to fit the climate control was to bend back this little piece of metal on the back here. Once that's out of the way, the climate control sits in there nicely. And also I had to move this harness. I think this is the airbag harness. You just have to push it over to the side. And now what we're going to do is plug in the climate control first, and because I need to lengthen this wiring, I'm going to unclip that cable tie harness. Alright, so I unclipped it, and I'm going to pull this wiring down. Cool. So we have here the 2 plugs on the back. So here are the 2 plugs on the back of the climate control. So the brown plug in there. Just one way. And the green plug in there. Cool. Right, so this blue cable will go back towards the box, and I'm going to slide that in place. Cool. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. So the next step is to prepare the fascia. So if you can't tell, the center vents are missing. That's because you have to use the factory ones, which I threw in the bin. So I've got it back out again, and I've already removed one side. This is what comes out. It is a vent which is glued down onto the fascia itself. So you're going to have to crack open the adhesive. So you got to pry it from here, got to pry it from there, and then pry it from the side, and then you should be able to wiggle it out. And once we've got both of them out, we can glue them back onto the fascia. Hopefully I've got some super glue around. So yeah, I'll quickly show you guys how I'm going to do it. I was just going to get a flathead, and just remember I'm not reusing the fascia, so it doesn't really matter what happens to the fascia. So just gently pry, and it should come out. Good idea to wear safety glasses. Alright, so you can see it's kind of parted now, and what you're going to do is just pry it, continue to pry around it, just be patient and gentle, and you'll get it out. Cool, got it out. Alright, so this is the vent. As you can tell, again, there are grooves here where the fascia sits, so I'm going to have to dig this plastic out, and then we can glue it onto the fascia. Alright, so just off camera, I've gone ahead and mock fitted these onto the fascia and they fit perfectly. No fitment issues, so I'm very pleased that these should go on without any issue. And yeah, I'm going to be using this Tarzan grip super glue, and I'll be filling the ridges here, the little grooves in there, with glue, and then seating them down, and I'll put a bit of weight on this just to hold it down overnight. But apart from that, just a word of advice, just make sure that this tab is lined up with a louver. Otherwise, once you glue this down, you might end up with a vent which does not pan or sweep. So yeah, it's pretty easy to misplace this in the wrong spot. So yeah, just be careful with that. All glued on, I'm going to call it a night. Let it dry, and then we should better finish this install tomorrow. Alright, so just picking it up where I left it last night, and I'm so glad that these went on nicely. No issues with fitment whatsoever, and the louvers are working, which is very good. So tonight we're going to complete the install into the Civic. We're going to be mounting the screen to the fascia. We're going to be wiring up that GPS and the microphone. Should be pretty much plug and play with this ISO harness. So keen to get this sorted. It's been a couple nights, so yeah, let's get into it. All right, so here's my screen, and this drops straight in and screws into the back by these 4 holes. I actually threw the screws out, unfortunately. I've just lost them somewhere, but I've got 2 screws I've found, and yeah, they'll hold just fine for now, and then later on I will sort it out properly. Done. All right, so we're going to attach the head unit to the display. So first this cable goes on. And just push it into the display like that. There we go. That's my unit prepared. So now we're moving on to connecting and wiring up the head unit, and there's really not much to do. You know, we're not running the 4G antennas for a SIM card. We're not using a reverse camera. This is all we need to install. So the first thing we need to install is the microphone. Then you've got the GPS antenna, and then the wiring harnesses for the head unit. Now, once again, this is an ISO harness. The ISO harness adapts from your factory stock connectors, which go on the back of the head unit, the stock head unit, to these universal ISO plugs. And here is the wiring harness included with the joining head unit. This is the other side, the female side of the ISO plugs, and this goes into the joining head unit. It's really basic. I'm just going to quickly show you guys. So these 8 wires, these are all for your speakers. So we've got 4 speakers in the Civic. So black, you got ground. Red, you probably have accessory 12 volt. Blue, you've got illumination. I don't know what orange does, and yellow is probably for constant power. So it's really basic, and I'm just going to connect it here to show you guys. So just like that. That's it. No soldering, no other wiring involved. This goes to the factory connector, and this goes into the joining unit. All right, so let's get these into the car. I'm mounting it with just some double-sided tape. So I'm going to put the wiring down first. I'm going to go between the A-pillar trim and the dash. Just going to remove that tape. Just stick it down to the corner. So I've got the GPS wiring all tucked away, just in there, to this plug. Now I'm going to maintain a little bit of purity, and I've decided not to fit the microphone. It just looks too odd in the 90 series dash, and yeah, I do actually quite like using the microphone for like YouTube voice command, Google Maps voice command, that kind of thing, but it just doesn't feel right. But I'm going to show you guys how I would wire it, and it clips on so easily onto the cluster surround. So just there. If I was keeping it, I'd just be clipping it on there, I'll run the wiring through behind the trim, through that hole, and then just into the cavity here. Maybe if I can find somewhere to tuck it away, I might try that, but I'm not sure how well the microphone's going to pick up. So yeah, we're almost there. This has been such an easy install. I'm going to put the fascia back in with the head unit, and then hook the climate control back up to the heater box, and then we're going to test everything before putting all the trim back together. Alright, so I've got the harness I prepared earlier. Plug it into the factory connector. Alright, so I'm going to plug in my join unit first. Then I got my GPS antenna, followed by my antenna. So I'm just going to rest this here. And then I'm going to test. First time, joying, number 1. All right, so just gonna hook this cable up back to the heater box. So it is gonna be quite a bit longer, so I have to find a way to tuck this up. So I've come across my first little obstacle, but it's really not too difficult to solve. And what we need to do is actually modify the cable which goes from the climate control to the heater box. And that's because the cable is too long after relocating this climate control down here. So what I've done, I pulled the cable out and then I cut the end of the cable off by about 6 centimeters. Cut the sheath back, and then I made my own little eyelet at the end of it just with some pliers, and now the cable sits a lot nicer, much less of a bend compared to how it was before. So it is all working. The speakers work, the radio works, check the climate control, it's working, and what's left to do now is to put it all back together. It's been such an easy install, you know, everything has been so plug and play, well, the wiring side anyway. And what I'm going to do now is put it all back together, and tomorrow we're going to have a look at the functionality of the unit and specifically how I would use it. See you then. Good morning, guys. I've just pulled the Civic out of the garage and it is another overcast day, but we're going to have a good look at how this looks and how it works. I really love how sleek and still factory, relatively factory looking it is, having the climate control down here as well. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. Let's get into it. All right, so just start the car. So cool. It just boots up where I left it last. So I have spent about 10 minutes just configuring this whole interface. Again, if you haven't watched my previous drawing video, make sure you watch it because there's also a giveaway which is still running. But I'm using the Nova launcher just to make everything look nice and sharp. One of the things that I really like about this unit is the buttons and the volume dial. Yeah, it's just a lot easier than having to click and then adjust it manually like that. So this is my home screen. Love my old Honda Civic, which I really miss. But on the side here, you got the buttons, so you got your maps, you got your radio, yeah, back and then home. And to be honest, the only thing I really use this unit for is for Spotify, just to listen to music. I will be using it for YouTube, obviously my maps, and most importantly, something I would use in a car like this is Race Chrono Pro. So Race Chrono is a GPS lap timer. So we installed the GPS antenna, and what it does is it will log your sector times, it'll log your speeds, and it helps you analyze and pretty much work out where you could go faster. So let's select the racetrack. Closest one here is Sydney Motorsport Park. Let's just select that. And yeah, we are in. And obviously I'm not at the racetrack, but if I was, it'd be able to use the GPS coordinates to map and track the car. The other thing I really like about Race Chrono is the ability to overlay your data onto a video. So I will be using my GoPro at the track and I'll be able to overlay all the data displayed here like I did in my previous Laddenham video. So make sure you go and check that out as well. So yeah, let's start recording. And you'll be able to access your previous sessions. And I'm pretty sure you can also import and export from your other cars and that kind of thing. So yeah, once again, this is the Joying 9-inch unit. This particular model does not have the RAM upgrade, so it's only got 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage, which is, you know, it is plenty for this car. I don't really drive this car often, but also I'm only really using it for race chrono and YouTube and maps, so it really doesn't need that capacity. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to address another question I had from the previous Joying video, and it's about the wireless Android and wireless CarPlay. Now, when I get into the car, whether it be the 79 or the RX-7 or this car, I actually get a notification on my phone saying that Android Auto is available. Where is it? Just right there. So to get this started, all I need to do is to go to CarLink 2.0, which is the green icon there. I press it. It's waiting for the device to connect. It's connecting, and I think, and you're in. So that's I'll just stop that. So yeah, that is completely wireless, of course, and it's something you guys might be interested in, especially if you're running a slower head unit. The reason I say that is because with Android Auto and CarPlay, pretty much your device is just streaming straight from your phone, but I like to use my head units independent of my phones. So something I forgot to mention as well is I mounted the microphone behind this vent. So if I'm on Maps or YouTube, let's go to YouTube, just hit the microphone button, Jonathan Chow, and it'll pop up. So yeah, make sure you subscribe. So let's talk about the costs involved to do this conversion, and let's compare it to the EK9 conversion. So we'll start off with this. The fascia was $55 off Aliexpress. The Aerpro harness, so the ISO conversion harness, was $15 from Super Cheap Auto. And of course the head unit was $611 from Joying. Now this head unit you do not need to have, but I just love Joying products and having it in all my other cars. So it just made sense to stick with this unit. You can buy these types of Android units for a lot cheaper, but just beware, they can be really slow. They might all look the same from the display, but behind all the components, the hardware is really different. So just be aware of that, but I know you can pick one up on the cheap for about $250 off AliExpress. So yeah, let's compare it to the EK9 conversion. Now I've done the EK9 conversion twice, and it is a headache. So the EK9 conversion, you have to buy the fascia, you have to buy the center vent behind the dash, and you also need to have the whole wiring harness, and I believe one of the solenoids down in the blower. For the EK9 conversion, you don't actually have to change the heater box or the blower, contrary to what I used to believe. The components are plug and play. But sourcing the EK9 parts is really difficult nowadays. The last EK9 conversion I saw, which was complete, was about $2,000, and that's excluding the head unit. So at the end of the day, if you're a purist, I know that there's no convincing you to change to this type of conversion, but you know, for the cost to do something like this, the functionality you get from a Joying unit, and you know, it really meets my needs. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. I really enjoyed doing this, and it was really easy and straightforward, which is good for a change. Let me know what you guys think of the footage on the new camera. I'm actually back on my GoPro at the moment. If you want to follow the channel, make sure you're subscribed. There's going to be a lot more content coming on the Civic and the RX-7 in the next few months. And always, leave me a comment if you have any questions and I'll get back to you. I'll see you guys in the next video.